Big F1 news for this week, Dan. The Lapdown podcast is back. And that is the news. Look, people, to be fair, there was as much secrecy in the Lapdown podcast being back this week, given that it's a weekly podcast, as there was in the real news of the week, that we'll get to in a minute. But Dan, welcome back. You're back in the chair. It's been 6 days or something. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've not been home, to be honest with you, since the last time we recorded, and that's just an interesting experience, isn't it? Spending time sat on motorways and in hotels, and it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Well, you're living the life of an F1 setup. You see, you're on the road, you're away from home, you're seeing absolutely none of the places that you visit, but you know you're in them.
True.
Yeah. You're role playing.
I would
for the
argue
pod.
and say there's an element more glamour involved in the Formula One world than the county cricket.
Look,
element,
is
marginally.
Somerset the British Baku? I've heard it mentioned. There's a castle, I think, in Somerset, perhaps, maybe, somewhere.
Gotta be one somewhere.
Yeah, got to
like castles. They must have just plonked one somewhere around there, haven't they, at some point?
At least one.
Other than that, I'm well. I'm looking forward to a bit of Azerbaijan. How are you, sir? What have you been up to?
I've just been trying to keep track of everything that's going on in the world. It was Adrian Newey to Aston Martin today, and then that didn't happen. So it was, they're going to announce him tomorrow. And then, actually, we're expecting him to be announced the day after. And then eventually they did it. I thought, look, we might as well dive straight into the Newey stuff, and I'm going to do my sports media thing. I saw through your little word games, Aston Martin. It's time for something new. See? Getting that past me. I thought it could have been better. I thought your pun game's a little bit weak there, to be honest. They did some quite nice stuff with like pencil drawing versions of the logo and his signature, and they kind of lent into that, didn't they? But yeah, he's going to Aston Martin. Tis what tis. React, please, sir.
Well, I think once Adrian's there and once he's got his feet under the desk, everything will be better, and they won't go for those lazy bits of social media kind of posting that might tease people into it. Because I just believe Adrian probably has an input in everything. Yes, I know he's 86 years old, but I would imagine he's probably an expert in social media algorithms and all these other various things that make these things work. I think, like, of all that other stuff, and we'll talk about Aston Martin in a bit, and that's fine, that's great, good for them. Like, you've got the man that you wanted, and I don't know. I don't know whether I'm happy or not. I can't work it out, but we'll go into those kind of things. And there might be different reasons, personal reasons, as to why I might not be particularly happy about it. But the bits that I enjoyed the most were the bits on like the Formula One official pages, and it went through kind of Adrian Newey's career back from like 1986. To be fair, I don't think he's aged particularly badly from 1986. If anything, the hair's just got a bit greyer. I don't think much else has changed since then. But what a career that bloke has had so far. And every bit of history in Formula One suggests that we are going to see Lance Stroll as a world drivers champion in Formula One in 2026 or 2027. And that, I think, for all three of you Lance Stroll fans in the world, that's exciting.
Yeah, a few of them, by the way, popped up on TikTok and defended their boy to the absolute nines when we suggested. How dare we suggest?
There's no way he has fans.
Apparently, how dare we suggest that he's not a very good driver, despite overwhelming evidence to suggest that is true. I saw a stat, and I can't remember exactly what the stat was, so I'm going to do that classic thing we're very good at of half-quoting a citationless stat.
Perfect.
Hasn't Adrian Newey been responsible in some way or involved in some way of like 25% of race winners in Formula One history?
Yeah,
like,
something obscene.
We got a performance enhancing drug test him, don't we? Like Adrian piss in a cup. Like
Adrian is the performance enhancing drug.
The tests just come back and they just say Newey everywhere. He is. We don't know with the Red Bull stuff, do we? Whether how much of their. It comes back to the thing. It's not necessarily a Red Bull drop off. It's everyone is caught up and they've not continued to press forward. I think. The car's not slower. They're not driving backwards all of a sudden, but. They're not bringing positive upgrades anymore, which used to be a real Red Bull hallmark.
Don't say that. They might be.
Well, we'll talk about their Baku setup shortly. But so far, their upgrades recently, not been steps forward. And you wonder if that's starting to be a little bit of the Newey effect. I think a lot more of, I think it's you know, the timing is coincidental. I think it's probably more so the wind tunnel punishments, both the position in the Constructors' Championship, and I think they're serving their naughty boy biscuit reduction this year. Or certainly we're probably going to be feeling the dirty air of that punishment now, even if it has already expired. So yeah, there was all that chat, wasn't there, when he left, like, well, Red Bull have finished, and then all of a sudden Red Bull have just dropped off the face of the earth. And I mean, I like Aston Martin. It's a very nice green. And they're a British team with a lot of history, and it's nice to have a historical team winning. I try to look past the Strolls being the dons of it, and just think of them as Aston Martin rather than Stroll Martin. Aston Stroll? Astrol Martin.
To be fair, that's not terrible.
Lastrol Martin, kind of mispronouncing Lance.
That's worse.
This is well.
I think you peaked at Astro.
Astrol Martin. There it is.
You peaked.
Job
That's
done.
it. That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening.
Happy days.
Yeah, they got their boy, didn't they? They fought off what we are led to believe to be a fairly kind of stiff bit of competition from Ferrari, and listening to that Adrian Newey press conference was that he wanted to work with both Lewis and Fernando, and I would imagine this is probably the last kind of the almost the retirement home for Adrian Newey now.
Certainly directly hands-on. I could see him sliding into a consultant role, but...
And plus as well, both of those drivers are cruising towards their 40s. Yeah. One of those three are going to retire from the sport and make, obviously, that working relationship not possible. So probably not going to be working with Lewis Hamilton. No. And Aston Martin got their guy. Ferrari didn't. Was there really much of a chance of going to Ferrari? I don't know. I kind of feel like it probably was a bit of a 50-50, like in terms of like a genuine kind of toss up of places to work and who to work for. I can't believe, other than a bit of logistical kind of help, in the fact that it's half an hour down the road from where he already lived, I don't necessarily know if there was that big of a draw to Aston Martin that would have suddenly kind of completely turned off Ferrari. But I guess when you get to that age, you kind of think to yourself, do you want to commute back and forth to Italy every week? That will take its toll. So I think Aston makes sense.
There's probably 30 million reasons why Aston Martin made a bit of sense as well.
They gave him shares as well, right?
Yeah. So 30 million reasons. Also, you now own part of the team. Ferrari were just never going to give away a stake. Ferrari may well have been able to match 30 mil. Ferrari were never going to provide actual, a seat at the table. They're just not. There's too many moving parts, isn't there? And too much. Politics makes it sound worse than it is, but there's too much politics involved with Ferrari for them to be able to do that. As where, Lawrence has just shaved off a bit of his own toenail and just gone, there, you can have that bit, mate. Like, that's fine. And good luck. You know what? Good luck to him.
Toenail is like perfectly aerodynamic and chiseled and
the way it flew
polished,
across the room,
and it's now like on a velvet kind of cushion on a mantelpiece somewhere.
Yeah. But good luck to him. And I saw a couple of really, in my mind, dead takes of like, I hate this because Aston Martin are such a soulless team because they're just pay to win and they've got Lawrence Stroll and he's just buying who he wants and he, while his son's there, it makes a joke of it. Like, Formula One is pay to win. It's literally the sport that you just go and, I know it's not quite so bad now with the salary cap, cost cap and whatnot, but it's pay to win. You want the best designers, you go and pay for the best designers. You want the best driver, you go and pay for the best driver. That is how it is. There's
no guarantee this will work.
It's also, he's still got Lance Stroll on the team, so it's like...
Genuinely, all the while that... Okay, so the history does suggest that it's going to be a success because Adrian Newey has brought success everywhere he goes. It's not instant, though. I think if I remember rightly, Newey moved to Red Bull in 2006. And then Red Bull won their first Drivers' World Championship in 2010. So it took 4 years for Adrian Newey to really kind of turn that team around. Well, not around, but develop it to where it is at this moment. So 2024, dare I say, 2028, I don't know how big of an input he's going to actually have in that car in 4 years' time. And without being horrible, Fernando in 4 years' time is going to be retired. He's not going to be kicking around in 4 years. And there's your 2-time World Drivers' Champion out of the window and out of the seat straight away. And all the while that you are employing Lance Stroll as one of your drivers, you are going to be fighting with one hand behind your back. He's paid a shit ton of money already, Lance Stroll, and he's not won anything yet.
Yeah. No, hey, can't argue with any of it. Also, you don't want to leave it till 2028 to start doing well, because James Vowles has come out and said that Williams are going to be back to winning races in 2028. That's the goal. So, and Carlos apparently is on a deal until 2028, which feels bullshit. If I'm Carlos, I'm not sure I'm signing up on a 4-year deal. Well, 3-year deal, 4-year deal in the Williams. I mean, unless you've seen something, Carlos, which you may have done, but we've got a regs change in the middle of it. Which I think the regs change is an interesting aspect as well to the Newey move, that he's got a new toy box to play with. And I think potentially, I do agree, I think there's going to be a lag on it. How much has Adrian already been working on 26 regs mentally? How much had he already given Red Bull for 26? And then how late is it for him to come in now and make fundamental 26 changes? I think we've probably still got enough time on that. The timing feels like it might maybe shave a year or 18 months off the Newey timeline, if you like, because if other people don't get it right, if there's a man I trust to get 26 right, is big dog Adrian. I mean, hey, I'd like to see it. Because Ferrari aren't going to completely balls it up, and Mercedes aren't going to completely balls it up again, you would hope. And McLaren seem to have a lot of their ducks in a row across the board, that if we can add Aston into that as well, Red Bull, I'm sure they'll work it out. We could have 5 constructors kicking about, and then in 28, James and his Williams is in there as well.
We won't, but I admire your optimism. I mean, and it will ultimately depend as to whether Mercedes do get over it or not, won't it? But my first kind of question about, well, not my first question, but a question just to end that kind of Newey point. And do you think they'll put any effort into 2025? Do you think that there's like because
an eggs and basket situation?
But this is the thing, because you can look at it straight away and you can turn around and go, well, just write 2025 off. Stick Adrian Newey in his 2026 kind of workshop and office and stuff, and just do that, and we'll run a shitbox for 2025. We'll give Lance another year because it will make him feel a bit better and slightly less inadequate about his crap driving style and the fact he probably dates his sister. And we'll just write it off. But is there not, like, do you not think there's a little bit of a temptation for Big Daddy Strollio to get onto like Big Dog Newey straight away and just go, do you think you could spend half an hour on the 2025 car and somehow magic up a kind of a secretly flexible rear wing valve ball joint or something that suddenly turns this Aston Martin into a Scalextrics, and Fernando then finishes first and Lance finishes 13th instead of 15th?
Well, he's gardening for a while, I think, isn't he? I think he's gardening until March or something.
He's going to have a good garden, isn't he? I think his garden's immaculate.
His lawnmower must do that in absolute seconds.
Do you reckon he's the type of bloke that buys those robotic ones, those AI lawnmowers that just run around itself? But actually what he's done is he's taken Lawnmow 3.0 and he's kind of turned it into... He's probably already working 2026 regs on the Lawnmow robot.
Oh, it's got a ground effect
great spoiler on the back of it. It's got a front wing on the front. It's got ground effect skirts down the side. And Mrs. Newey just turns around and goes, "Do you fancy popping out and doing the cutting the lawn today?" It's already done.
Yeah.
Well, okay. It's 7:30. It's 7:30 in the morning. Yeah. No, it started at 25 past. What? It's done the whole garden. Yes.
Yeah.
Done. It's like, for robot size, that is 183 miles worth of scale miles, and it's like, it's done it. We did have to do a 3.2 second pit stop halfway through just to
dump the grass out.
Yeah, just to take the grass out and just sharpen the blades up a little bit, but it's done.
Here's a question. Yes. Here's a question. And this is a classic Rogue question. Do you think Adrian Newey would be good on Robot Wars? That's my question.
Yes. I don't see honestly, I don't see what he's not good at.
Is Adrian a speed mastermind or is he a vehicular mastermind? And could he make the ultimate... Bring Robot Wars back and let him have at it himself with a shed, right? And I would just like to see Rex Garrard, for me Robot Wars fans, you know who he is. He built Cassius. Driven Cassius, by the way. Shout out. Against Adrian Newey, making his own robot on Robot Wars, and we'll get a coked up Craig Charles back again up on that gantry in his bright red leather jumpsuit. He's got to be good at it, right? He has to be good at it.
How long did it take you to build that Lego McLaren behind you?
Longer than it would take him to build the actual F1 car, I'm sure. Or indeed a Robot Wars robot to win the championship.
What I don't understand...
About Robot Wars?
No, about Adrian Newey generally.
Back to F1.
He just must have so much spare time on his hands. Like his wife probably gets to Chris and she goes, oh, bloody hell, I've done it this year. I've got that Mercedes Lego Formula One kit. It's got 18,000 pieces. And before Adrian Newey's even finished unwrapping it, it's done.
But it's not only is it done,
better.
He didn't open the instruction booklet, and it's now better than it was in the first place.
Yeah, and there's half a dozen parts just left on the side, and she goes, "Would you not need them?" No, they were surplus to requirements.
He's there with a kettle, and he's got boiling water, and he's just melting pieces slightly, and just shaving a little bit off the side of a Lego piece. And it's now quicker than the Haas.
If he was Usain Bolt's coach, he'd have run 100 meters in 7 seconds.
He's done
Imagine taking him to IKEA. Done.
Yeah,
finished.
Do you reckon he's a meatballs or a hot dog man?
I reckon he just goes for the dime bars.
They don't sell them anymore, by the way. But bombshell on the pod.
Wow.
Bombshell. IKEA, dime, broken up. Too much palm oil. They don't like Cadbury. Broken up.
Adrian Newey doesn't go to IKEA anymore.
Adrian has given up on IKEA because of that.
So that's Adrian Newey chat, or do we need to talk some more?
Well, a little bit maybe Aston non-Newey chat.
Oh, yeah.
Not Aston Martinewey.
Astrian Martin.
Sorry, you still there? Astrian Martinewey chat. Talk to me, Dan, about the concept of an MV and an AM. Because it has surfaced, the rumour again. I mean, the rumour at this point is that Max is going to every other team but Red Bull, and he's already there. Do you think there is a genuine chance that Max Verstappen follows Adrian Newey to Red Bull?
Yeah.
I've said Red Bull. He's already at Red Bull.
Yeah, well, no, I know what you meant, and I said yes to the question that you should have asked.
Do you think there is a genuine chance that Max Verstappen follows Adrian Newey to Aston Martin?
Yeah, I think there is. I don't know whether it was an official render or whether it was just a bit of fan art, but somebody put together an Aston Martin with a number 33 on the front of it, and some bright spark, well, yes, but Max Verstappen's number one. It's like, well, no, but actually beneath that there is a 33.
Borrowing number one.
Exactly.
He's renting it.
He's got it on loan. It's like a Vauxhall Corsa from Eurocar or something.
Yeah.
But there is a chance, I think. We know cost caps. Yeah, I mean that doesn't matter when you've got like Lawrence.
Well, he's not in the cost cap anyway, is he? Because he would be one of the top three. Or is it are drivers even in the cost cap? I know Adrian's not in the cost cap because he'd be in the top 3 employees.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yes, I think there's every chance because we also know the fact that when Mr. Newey leaves, teams do kind of struggle for a while, and this Red Bull seems to be on a downward trajectory. And logic and history would suggest the fact that you can't just go out and buy yourself a new Adrian Newey and therefore fix all the problems that might be there at the minute and develop a car in 2026 that's going to hit the ground running and be fine. So I think if Max stays at Red Bull, things would suggest that he's in for a bit of a world of pain. Mm-hmm. Does he want a world of pain? Is he interested in that kind of that legacy, that kind of fight back, or does he want to drive a car that might win a couple of races a year rather than 18? I don't know. Only he will answer that question. I dare say world champions and people that like winning things probably don't want to kick around in 6th and 7th place for a couple of years. If there's a knock on the door or an email pops up in the inbox or a Snapchat from Adrian Newey, or whatever that might be, and says, "Do you fancy coming to work with me?" I just would be surprised if he wasn't interested in listening. Mm-hmm. I really would be. Also, it would depend as to what, obviously, the greatest Formula One driver, Jos Verstappen, has got to say about things as well, because he is a great barometer in the world of Formula One. But yeah, I think he would. I think he would listen. at the end of the day, you take one of the best brains and you take one of the best drivers to a team.
Shiny new factory.
As I said earlier, new factory, Fernando's going to be packing up sooner rather than later. He's not going to drive into his 50s, is he? And genuinely, they are going to have to make a decision about Lance.
Yeah,
because they can't just keep him going. If they've got aspirations of winning world drivers titles and constructors, and they've spent the money on the factory and they've spent the money on Newey and potentially on Max if that comes along, they cannot still be towing that caravan.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, and I agree. I think I couldn't tell you where I think Max Verstappen goes, but I think there's a great chance that Max Verstappen is in different overalls at some point soon. And how soon, again, don't know. What colour the new race suit is, don't know. Because like obviously Wheatley's left or is leaving Red Bull as well now as well. Like
principal Alpine or Haas or Audi, isn't it?
Audi,
Porsche,
yeah.
Audi, yeah.
But the gang is breaking up. S Club 7 is splitting up. They're going to go have solo careers. So,
and it was never as good without Bradley, was it?
No, certainly wasn't. They came back as S Club Party for a while and did the student union circuit. It was slightly depressing. One last thing on Adrian that really did make me chuckle. He did an episode of the High Performance Podcast. Not that we would ever promote other podcasts. This is the only podcast you need to listen to. Just a couple of all-time shit-stirring quotes from Adrian in that. I don't even know if he meant to do it, but he implied that he can't believe that Mercedes aren't over 2021 and that they're being held back by that. Adrian, a lot easier to get over things when you won, my son. I would agree possibly that Mercedes do need to, if they haven't, do probably just need to fucking get over it. And also, when you get a new job, generally not great in the interview or indeed like the day you get hired to go and do one of the most listened podcasts in the world and to say, oh yeah, well see, I picked them because they're shit. And I only like taking bad things and making them good. I don't like working for top teams. Adrian, mate, he's just given you £30 million. Say, oh, the car's got great potential. I really like the car. I can't wait to get stuck in. Done. Media training. Adrian, come on.
Doesn't need it. Doesn't need it. I was a little bit disappointed about the comments with regards to Mercedes. I don't think I'm not over it, to be fair. And not because of who was involved, but I just think sport died a little bit that day. And yeah, to hear that from, and I know obviously he probably got a nice bonus from it and had a nice party afterwards and all that other good stuff and had a lovely time. And ultimately now, 3 years down the line, ain't going to change.
Yeah.
Should you make moves to get over it? Yes. But still, like that year will always be tarnished by something that had never, ever happened before. And so just to turn around and go, well, I think it rattled them a bit and it never, and it did. And it's completely understandable, but a bit disappointed. But anyway, he's there to get pens and papers and pencils and protractors and those funny little triangle ruler thingies that they use to do stuff. So he'll be good. He'll be good.
Yep. I have a Danny Ric conspiracy theory.
Yeah, you confused me last night.
I've got a Danny Ric conspiracy theory. Stick with me on this one, right? My tinfoil hat's on, right? Come down the rabbit hole with me.
This is interesting.
Danny Ric has put himself a little bit of an Insta dump out. We like a Danny Ric Insta dump. Like slide 6 of 8 on that was a random, unexplained clip from Pixar's Monsters Inc., Disney's Monsters Inc., Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
The Put That Thing Back Where It Came From, Also Help Me song. No explanation as to why this clip was in there, and then there was a picture of him posing with Sully. I'm going to throw it out there that my Danny Ric conspiracy theory is that the thing is Danny Ric, and where it needs to be put back, Also Help Me, is being put back in the Red Bull. There it is. Yes, I get sweaty under the tinfoil hat. No, I'm not apologising for it. Justice for my boy DR3.
Elaborate. Give me more meat on that bone.
There is no more meat. It's a cartoon.
No, go on. Whilst you're kind of conspirarizing, if that's a word, theorying, give me more meat on the bone. Tell me.
I think the meat on the bone is he was told he was going to be back in the Red Bull And then the whole meeting of whatever happened in that meeting happened. And then it was, oh, actually, no, sorry. Takesy backsies. That's not happening anymore. And that this may just be a classic sports person subtle dig. He might also just really like Monsters, Inc. There's that aspect to it as well.
Could be.
He might have just watched Monsters, Inc. on the plane and thought, fuck me, that is Mike Wazowski. What a guy. You know, that's a film and a half. But there you go. There's my Danny Ric conspiracy theory. Make it happen.
Don't mind it.
Yeah,
good for Danny Ric. Like if that's how he wants to go, I'm okay for it.
Yeah.
Be ballsy, be salty, Danny.
Yep.
Use that energy. Use it positively.
Drive angry, like he drove in. Was it Mexico last year? Was he driving in Mexico last year? Or was it a McLaren era Mexico where that bloke? I think he got a penalty or someone bumped him, or for whatever reason he was out of position.
Yeah.
And he drove like a genuine dragon. That was when he pulled out the little and shot someone with a pistol down the back straight as he overtook them. Give me back that Danny Ric. I want Pistol Ric back, right? You tell me that Pistol Ric doesn't put that AlphaTauri, and I'm still calling it AlphaTauri, on the fucking podium at Baku. Pistol Ric in Baku. Let's go. He's got enough straight at Baku to pistol someone as well.
But especially now they've extended the DRS thing as well.
Yeah, it'll work.
It's a great circuit, isn't it?
I was going to say, thoughts on Baku generally
Terrible.
as a circuit?
Awful. Pathetic.
But the castle.
I don't care. You can't. It's awful on the game. You crash too many times when you go up through that section into the little wall thing because it's too narrow for a Formula One car. Mm-hmm. All of the bends, the corners, if you can really call them corners, are just 90-degree angles.
Yes.
Just make it a big square. I don't even know why they bothered with the castle bit. Like they kind of just went, you know what we should do? We should just have two really long fucking straights. And then somebody went, yeah, but there is a castle just round the corner. Okay, so what they've done is they've gone to Azerbaijan, Baku. I think it's the city of Baku, isn't it? Yes. And they've sat on the big red bus. You know, the open top bus.
Yes.
They've just followed it round. They've just gone, that'll do.
Put a curb down there.
Genuinely, who cares? Like it's a 6.004 kilometer long circuit, I think, which is one of the longest on the calendar, and 3.5 kilometers of it are literally a straight line.
Yeah. What? And yet last year overtaking was really hard.
Genuine. Well, of course it was, because Checo bloody won it.
That's not happening this year. Tell you that right now. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we know one thing: is that Checo Perez is not winning.
Checo likes a street circuit. AB, that's all I'm saying.
Doesn't like a castle circuit, though, does he?
I don't know. Well, slightly more than Charles Leclerc. I am sure.
Also, I would say that around a track like Baku, and this starts to show my lack of technical F1 knowledge potentially, but you need a really pointy, obedient, snappy handling car to get you around Baku quickly, because as you said, every corner's 90 degrees or more. And I could be completely wide of the mark here, but given the troubles with balance and Verstappen feeling like that car's not turning at the minute, if I'm approaching a wall because the track is going 90 degrees that way, I want a car that turns when I ask it to turn, and it turns the appropriate amount. That it might not be a great track if you're having issues with the car not turning when you tell it to.
No. Well, good news though, because Red Bull and Max Verstappen are launching a new album this weekend of now that's what I call Red Bull Racing Flaws. And they're having kind of amalgamation of three things that they've kind of stuck on at bits. Do you know, I would love to have been a fly on the wall in that conversation. Like, why have they not just gone back to a bit where it was actually good, rather than just kind of stuck together three bits and made this terrible, well, potentially terrible boy band? It might work. You never know, it might work. They might have got the best of the side skirts and the best of the rear diffuser and then the best of the barge block or something underneath it, and it might be perfect. But Jeezy peeps, does that tell me that they are desperate?
Scramble.
Genuinely. Just gone to the back of the back of the cupboard in the warehouse and just gone, fuck, what have we got? Oh, okay,
it's like on Mario Kart. They're doing that thing on Mario Kart where you get to pick the three things to build your car. Like they've gone with the parasol parachute. They've got the little umbrella. It's cute.
Yeah.
and they've gone with the one that looks a bit like an F1 car as their base, but they've gone with the really big monster truck tires because they look cool. Like I think it's going to go one of two ways, isn't it? It's either they're going to drop another couple of places each because you can't just Frankenstein an F1 car together, or they are going to Frankenstein it and it's going to come alive and he's going to win it by 2.5 laps and not need it won't even open DRS on the long straight. It'll just piss past people.
Literally go past.
I don't think it's going to be that option. I'm
a bit torn though, because if we go through the rest of the season on the trajectory that we're on, we are, and we're going to talk about rotten papaya rules in a minute, but
yes,
we're just going to see 2 orange cars just disappear off into the distance without any competition, and they've messed around so much that we're not going to have a championship fight at the end of the year anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. Or do we kind of try and, if this works for Red Bull, happy days, because yes, fine, Max is going to win the World Drivers' title and he's going to win it by a distance if he gets back to there, but actually could we have like a 3-way fight for races between Lando, Max and Oscar for the last 10 or so rounds?
I'm going to throw the Red Boys at you, though. Get the Red Bull. You're forgetting the Red Boys are in there as well. Fuck off, Red Bull.
Mate, look, we can have a full orgy at the front. We can get Mercedes involved as well. I'm okay with that.
Horses in there. Get the horses in the orgy.
Get them in there. No, honestly, I'm okay. Get a 7-son.
Get him
and Checo can kind of just peer from behind the curtains. But we can have 7 of them, and that'd be great. But realistically, if this works for Red Bull, then we might be able to have a 3-way at the top.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad, and it is that thing that people just don't like the person that's winning. I would rather Red Bull completely fall off and Ferrari suddenly, as a McLaren fan, I would rather Ferrari suddenly leapfrog McLaren and have Red Bull fuck off. That's fine. I just like a couple of different colours at the front, Yeah, okay. We say it every week. Competition is all we want. We don't really care who wins. It makes no impact on our life who wins, as long as they have to work for it, and it's quite interesting to watch it for 90 minutes. Which I suppose this is our last one to finish. We haven't done too much papaya chat today because they got the entire episode last week. All the suggestion is that some team orders are on the way. I think Norris tried to play it down in his interview that, it depends a little bit on like what positions they are. And mate, the positions are going to be 1 and 2. You have the fastest car. Well, you're not. There's not a chance that you're going to be 7th. The positions are going to be 1 and 2, Lando. Like, that's what we're going to be talking about here. They seem to suggest that they're going to go balls out on Lando. I saw someone say, and I actually don't mind this approach. I'm not. I think I made this quite clear last week that if Lando wants to win, Lando needs to win it for his sake, and let's not, not ruin, but let's not downplay it or baby it to him. But I am okay with the idea that we've obviously got the autumn break coming up, and you've got 2 races before the autumn break.
Yep.
I'm okay with the idea of McLaren potentially team ordering to mess around with and manipulate some wins for Lando Norris for these next 2, and then see where we're at come the autumn break. Right? You've almost got a dress rehearsal here, because you can see with a hard stop and then having 4 weeks to think about it again, how much impact did it have for us to team orders it? How upset is Oscar and how unsettled is he? And have we actually massively gained on Verstappen in doing so? And then you can come back after the autumn break, all refreshed, not tanned, with your hoodie on, and you can kind of make another decision, if you like.
I've done some maths.
Oh, Dan's been mathing. He's got his math pen out.
Maths are great. Maths are great. Okay, I've crunched the numbers.
Crunch them.
So Max is currently on 303 points. Lando's on 241. There are 8 races left. Baku, Singapore, Austin. This ain't that one. Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, the upside down pig, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. So we've got 8 races left. The point difference is 62 points, which obviously if you divide that by 8, you get 7.75. Clearly, points don't work in decimals. So Lando is going to have to outscore Max by 8 points per race for the next 8 races in order to overturn that deficit. Yes, this floor might not work. Yes, there might be a bit more of a fall off. Yes, there might be a retirement. In equal measure, there might be a Lando DNF, there might be a crash, there might be a penalty, there might be something that screws this up. I'm not clever enough to do the maths to work out what that would be if Lando had won in Budapest and what Lando had won in the last race if they'd have decided to have put Papaya Rules but reversed it at that point. But I dare say it wouldn't be 8 points per race. It'd probably be close to 5. And that there sounds like a slightly more achievable task.
But 8 points is still only the gap between 2 steps on that podium, isn't it?
It is. But as I say, that does rely on both car or the car having like a seamless finish to the Grand Prix, and then, as you say, Max kind of finishing third or worse through the rest of it, with a few fastest laps thrown in here and there, or maybe
a couple of sprints as well. Don't forget we've got 2 more sprints to come.
Perez takes away a point here, or that sounds stupid, doesn't it? Don't get it off. But I don't know. It's possible, still mathematically possible.
But you think, and again, we continue to maths, right? If Lando wins a race that Max Verstappen finishes 5th in, 5th is not that lower finishing position. If you think there's probably going to be one other Papaya, maybe 2 Ferraris up there, or a Ferrari and a Merc, and Verstappen's in 5th, there's 2 races worth of points minus 1, but there's 2 races worth of points made up there. It's a 15-point swing. So it's a lot depends on Red Bull almost, that McLaren are very in their own head, and everyone's in McLaren's head about what they need to do. They just need to keep banging points in and see how Red Bull want to flounder underneath.
Yeah, and let's be honest, an organisation that can build a car that can drive upside down in a tunnel due to its own downforce is probably going to be capable, or more capable than me, to fire up their iPhone and get the calculator app out and work out how many points per race they're going to need to figure that out. And they're going to work out on performance scales and extrapolate data with regards to where they feel the prediction is that Red Bull are going to finish over the next 8 races and what that might mean in order for Lando to take that back. And no doubt they've probably built in algorithms that would factor in a Lando DNF here or a Max DNF there or whatever that might be. There are some very high-paid people having a look at this kind of stuff. They know when it's going to rain, for Christ's sake, and nobody knows that. Like, these guys know their shit. So I dare say the best people to trust on this stuff are probably McLaren and Papaya Rules, and all of us on the podcast and the social media stuff probably just massively overreacted last weekend.
There is absolutely a chance that Lando runs away with the WDC by 30 points come the end of the year, and everyone's going, remember when we were really worried because they didn't invert the cars here?
Or Christ, that end of the season was boring, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you think, I think the sprint races as well, you get 8 points for winning the sprint, and you know they are incremental and linear, -1 all the way down. So again, Lando wins a sprint, Verstappen finishes 4th in that. There's another 3 points. You know, it's the points come thick and fast. And there are also a couple of easy crash out DNF tracks coming up. Baku's one. You clip the castle, mate, you're done. Gornsky, doesn't matter. Singapore, you clip any part of the Marina Bay Sands. Guess what? You're done-ski. You know, there are opportunities to, you know, really by your own accord mess it up and lose a 25-point swing potentially.
Yeah. Could be pissing down in Japan. No, we've been to Japan. Could be pissing down in Brazil.
Yeah.
Vegas is another one that's a little bit of an unknown still, where we've just had 1 race there. So there's still plenty to think about. And dare I say, there are people that work for McLaren that are pretty intelligent, and they'll probably worked out various different kind of patterns as to how the rest of this season will work out, and they're probably going to stand a real good chance at being pretty accurate at it as well. So if this weekend is the right time to rip up Papaya Rules and come up with a new set, then that in McLaren we trust at the end of the day, because it's their party to ruin, isn't it? Or win.
It's also they don't owe anyone anything except themselves. It's in theory, all sport, and it's a weird thing with fan bases, you know, all sport, it's no different to playing Sunday League cricket. You just go and do it for fun of it because you wanted to. The results are all on you. Like, okay, it's slightly different here because there's millions of people that choose to watch and support what you're doing as well. Yeah. But McLaren are making their own decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
And
when you say
go,
support
girl.
as well, you mean sit on the sofa and clap your hands. You don't mean dip your hand in your pocket and hand over a few £1,000 so they can develop it slightly better. Exactly. We're not shareholders in these organisations.
Nope.
We don't really get much of a say. But
Nope.
it does give us good things to talk about, doesn't it? And that's
It does
exactly
indeed.
what we've done on this podcast. So
We have.
are we done?
I think we're done. I think that's everything. We'll see. We'll watch the castle on the weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait. Hopefully the flag's up. That'd be
Here we
exciting,
go.
won't it?
I think it might be up.
I hope so. Because that would look good. If there was an Azerbaijan flag flying from the castle.
Can you believe it?
Whew,
Can you believe it? Dan, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, at Dan Jads on the internet, you can find me there. And make sure if you're not already, and I doubt this is a chance, but if you are stumbling across this on the social medias, go and listen to the actual podcast. And if you're listening to the podcast and you don't follow us on the social medias, do it the other way around and go and follow us on the TikTok. And because we are banging views on the TikTok right now.
People like us on the TikTok, except the people that don't like us.
Off, I think is the technical term. How about you, AB? Where can people find you when you're not talking about Formula One cars going quickly around circles?
Come and watch me play games. Hey, look, it's Alex on Twitch. Monday, Wednesday, Friday evenings. You can watch me play some games terribly on there and chat about things other than cars. You can also go and look for Our Cricket on the internet if you'd like to watch Dan play cricket to sort of a Lance Stroll level.
Well,
I think
that
would
channel's
be
dead now anyway, but
fair. Yeah. Nice.
yeah, it's all on my name now. But yeah, it's
you
good
go.
chatting.
Good chatting.
See you after
Chat again next week.
Azerbaijan.
Bye.